Goose Fraba. What's the film?
What?
What's the film? Goose Fraba.
Anger management.
Yeah. You could do with a bit of anger management yourself.
Fuck you, mate.
You could.
Zorgen
You could.
Prech.
Patches.
Half lad.
Patch Barry. Barry Patch.
Fuck you, mate.
Yeah. Them 20 deck go missing, he fucking turns on you. Podcast 215. It's the grower
I
steering
know
wheel.
you definitely fuck with my hot sauce, though. I know you did.
Fucking didn't.
You did.
Didn't.
I rubbed my balls all over your drum set. What's that film?
That is Step Brothers. Plenty of room for activities.
Yeah.
We
We built bunk beds. It's great, that film, innit? They're fighting outside and he shouts, rape!
Oh, what are you doing? I'm burying you. Good film. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it.
Podcast then.
215, grower steering wheel. It's all about when you make changes in your grow room, everything has an effect. Some things just have one effect. Some things have multiple effects.
Oversteer and understeer.
You can, yeah. Back end goes out, back end goes in.
Back end goes in. You mean the back end goes out and the front end goes too far.
Yeah. That's the analogy right there.
Yeah.
Well, it's bank holiday weekend. This is
Thank God.
Sunday. You've
I've
all
been
got
off for
tomorrow
fucking
off.
months, but I'm actually looking forward to this.
Why? Because you can actually do activities.
Yeah, I can do activities,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah. Nice activities. Anything. It's going to be a nice weekend, I think. I'll be out on the kayak. I'll be going to Wales on the lakes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What day?
Sunday. Because you do everything on the Sunday. You do your activities on the Sunday, so you've still got the Monday to just relax. Get pissed Sunday night. It's laughing. Anyway, it's podcast 215. You are with me, Steve.
And myself, Barry.
And it's all about how when you make changes, it has an effect on everything else. So
It's a bit like your actions have consequences.
They do. All of them. Every time. We'll go to intro. We'll get you ready for the bank holiday weekend. And we'll get straight into podcast 215, the grower's steering wheel.
All good? Ready to go? Turn my voice up a little bit. I've got for everyone watching, the whole family.
Are you ready to go? Are you built a beer in the house that I built in the house that I built?
I know people tune in every Sunday to listen, but even when business is good, we still manage to do the podcast. NPK.
So first up, as always, we give thanks to the partners of the NPK Live podcast. Hit them off, Barry.
I'm going to go with the big fella.
Who's the big fella?
CANNA.
CANNA. Who said CANNA is a fella? Could be a female.
Nah, mate.
Could be an inanimate. CANNA fella. The big CANNA fella.
The big CANNA fella.
The big green mean machine.
Yeah, man.
Well, CANNA nutrients. The steering wheel, we're talking about nutrients now. When you add different nutrients, the effect it has on your plant. So I've got CANNA.
Well, let's just get the partners out the way.
We are, but I'm giving people an idea of how the partners link to the podcast.
Oh, they know they link. Without the partners, mate, there would be no grow industry.
No, there wouldn't.
There wouldn't.
There wouldn't at all. Good point.
There'd be a pile of shite.
It would, yeah. Imagine
Yeah,
an
it
industry
would.
without all of our partners.
I'd be able to wear fucking fans 5 fucking streets away if that was the case.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, we have CANNA. Go and visit them on canna-uk.com and have a little mooch through the website. Their website is great for blogs. So if you want to learn, all the blogs are written by the CANNA scientists. You can go and check them out on their website. We have also got SANlight LED. They've been everyone's saviour over the summer.
Yeah.
We were selling loads of Q6Ws, but we've actually started, the hobbyists have started jumping onto them, the Q3s, the M30s, the Q4s and 5s, the L range. If you ever notice a Q3L or a Q5L, that just means that they're expanded so that they cover a wider area, and they come with the dimmers, and been just been our saviour as well over the summer. Sales are up over the summer because more people can crack on. So thank you very much to SANlight, still rocking and rolling, and people will carry on using them straight through into the winter as well. So we'll keep on giving you updates and that when the temperatures come down, how SANlight have been doing.
Who next, Density?
BudBox tents. That's not like BudBox tents about being on the podcast. This is TENTS, BudBox tents. Can I get that across on podcast? BudBox tents. BudBox tents. That's one of the partners anyway.
What the fuck was that about?
That was just a play on words. We have BudBox tents, but it sounds like I'm saying that they're a bit tense. They're a bit tense about things, aren't they?
The good sense.
Very good tense. The
Probably
Pro in white. Well, we've got...
Do you know that they'll make you any tent to match your room? It takes them a while.
With a 3-month delivery turnaround.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Not bad at all for a very bespoke tent.
For a tent made for you.
I'll make sure that you've got your money, though, because they will charge you. But who wouldn't for a proper size tent to the millimetre, 4.75 metres by 3.62 metres by 2.1 metres tall, with windows and entrances where you can get them.
Can you say where you want your windows and
Yeah,
entrances?
completely customisable.
Well, we're 3 months wait.
Yeah, and whatever money it costs, it's perfect. You can get it to fit any room you want. You just got to be accurate with your measurements.
So
Imagine you're an inch off.
A BudBox, one of the leaders out there.
Yes, innovators, leaders. The Pro White tents are what they're well known for. They have to make silver.
Are they major tent manufacturers in the tent manufacturing industry?
You can say that again. Say that again.
Are they major tent manufacturers in the tent manufacturing industry?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
BudBox tents. Proud to have them as an NPK Live partner.
Yeah, man.
You go next, Basil.
AutoPot.
AutoPot watering systems. Bit of a sore point, actually, with AutoPot.
Why?
No AutoPot, but the summer social, was there?
No.
It was a shit one.
Why have you just reminded me about that?
It was a week ago. I thought you were over it.
Fucking hell.
It'll be even better next year, though. I've heard some rumours about what's going on next year.
All the people who fund it
Yeah.
have saved the money
Yeah.
and are going to do double bubble next year.
Oh, yes, we can drink and eat twice as much.
Yeah, and everything.
And
the
music's
entertainment
gonna be
will be
twice
twice as loud, twice as better.
It fucking
Everything.
needs to be. Barry, how could you say something like
How
that?
could you say that about that?
That was you.
The music.
Yeah. The entertainment's good.
I'm an honest lad. And
the music
it probably
needs
could
to
be a
be,
bit better.
more widespread. A bit of smooth FM. Just throw the radio on for a few hours. Actually, it's greatest hits now.
Rodney P.
Rodney P.
Yeah.
In the house. He is a legend, that Rodney P. But I didn't know him until AutoPot.
If you pass 40, yeah.
Oof. Low blow.
Low blow.
Well, when we get sound effects, when we get our sound effects board, we'll go, oh, oof. Sound effect there for when every time Barry gives a low blow.
Rodney P. Yeah. Rodders.
I was. It's like an industry joke. As you wonder
I just
why
want to
we're
go
laughing.
there and listen to like Live Lounge.
Live Lounge would be nice. A nice acoustic band. Remember, like we did at Morton, and we had the girl on the
They
violin.
seem to play the music on AutoPot, and it's not like, I'm honest, and it seems like it's just for one person.
Yeah, it's
Do you know what I mean?
it's a show for. It's a show for James, and I know Ben from Plantasia loves the music, and I know Dave loves the music.
Yeah.
It's a little communal music
It's them
event. Yeah, and other people probably like it, but we tolerate it ourselves. Yeah, it's tolerated while we drink. And Barry actually had the.
Why are we
earphones in
drinking
last
our
year.
motorhome? Because we don't want to listen to it.
It's personal choice. Don't be so offended. Personal choice, just because we don't like the music. But I'm sure it'll be much, much better next year.
James.
Yes. Mills, head of entertainment. There's a big weight on your shoulders. Anyway, moving forwards.
AutoPot.
AutoPot watering systems. The
Gravity
best.
fed.
Gravity
Wales
fed.
#1.
Global.
And they've just got the new 5mm pipe. And
5mm.
Unbelievable. product.
Unblockable. Just constantly innovating. So big
Yeah,
shout
man.
out to AutoPot.
Boss
Been a
system.
supporter, been a partner since day one. So thank you very much. So you've said AutoPot. I'm going to say can filters
Why?
because that's what you normally like to
Me
say.
mate, lad.
Ewan.
You
Oh.
shouldn't shout that out, lad. That's
Oh.
my mate.
Oh,
I say can. Ewan.
I know, but I've just said it. I took your thunder. Do you know why I said it? Because you had to go home early.
Am I needed?
No, I think as soon as I've shouted out here, when I think I can pretty much crack on now. He had to go home, didn't he? I was gutted.
That was a proper kidney blow.
Don't worry when the sound effects come.
Listen, they don't listen for you, they listen for me.
The realist.
The realist what?
The realist. Just the realist.
They all listen for me.
I'm sure they
They
do.
all say, oh, that Barry's great. Oh, he's fucking
Makes
he's
me
upset.
laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Stephen does my fucking head rotting, mate.
I can't wait for you to do a podcast with someone, you know. I can't wait.
Who's next?
Can filters.
Can filters.
Irwin.
Tell me about
Isomaks.
them. What did they do?
They move air
Do they?
through a filter and they scrub the smelly shit out. So they
How did they get the
exhale.
air through the filter?
They pull it through with an Isomaks or a QMax or a Max Fan Pro or an RK or an RS or an RKV and a host of other fans that they've
So
got
what
to
you're
do
saying
every
is
job.
they've
They
got
have a
everything in
complete
the
all-in-one
industry.
solution for
Yeah.
extraction and intakes.
That's well done.
Yeah. Moving on.
Well done. Ah, well done, Can.
I thought I was getting a round of applause for saying it in such a succinct way. Okay.
Well done,
Can.
Ewan.
Who's next?
Call for Gavita.
Gavita HPS. They've just shown me yesterday, actually. They came around and showed me the Slimline Gavita. Now, before they became a partner, I think the Slimline's just come out recently, and it's a very good addition because beforehand, the Ballast was meant that you had to hang, you lost a lot of height. Then the Solistex came out and the EPAP, I think the EPAPions and the Lux came out and they were flat. And people sort of went, oh, we'll try them. And I think Gavita may have had a little bit of a drop off and people have tried them and have had potential issues. What I've noticed is people going back to Gavita and they've made the Slimline ballast, which means that you're not losing hardly any height, maybe an inch at most. So now Gavita are competing with those flat ballasts and they piss all over them, in my opinion. Good quality ballast. I was showing it the other day. They've got the 600s, the 750s, the 1000s, the controllers that come out with it. Go onto their website, Gavita.com. Just Google them, Gavita, and you'll spend hours on there. Go through all the products, all the different reflectors, wide-angled reflectors, narrow beams. They're like Can. They've got a solution for every grower, for every room. So go and check them out and see what they've got on offer. And thank you very much for choosing the MP5 podcast to be a partner of.
Who's it? Last but not least.
Last but not least, Garden Culture. Let's
I'll
rewind.
say it. Calm down, will you?
I know.
Garden Culture
Yeah.
magazine.
Wow.
It's Erica's best mate.
Well, Eric might disagree with you on that over the last 6 months, mightn't he?
Why would that?
I haven't been getting my articles in on time. I am shit.
I've heard you're his second best now.
Probably am, yeah. Probably
I've
am.
heard you're his second choice.
Yeah, that's...
I
probably-
actually seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, I know.
I was a bit disappointed.
I was disappointed. It's not nice being second best, is it?
No, it's
No.
not. I wouldn't have it.
But at least I cry in bed to myself. No one gets to see that. And we won't mention it on podcast. We'll edit that bit out. All right, Coachy. So at least 60,000 people won't get to listen to that this month. Garden Culture magazine. Check it out. It's free and it's full of great articles that I haven't written. Fuck off. Right, let's get into the podcast. 215, grow a steering wheel, making changes in your grow room. We're going to kick it off with temperature. So what a lot of growers will do and believe is that when the temperature goes up, you do something to make the temperature come down. If the temperature is too low, you do something to make the temperature go up. But everything has an effect, and they're the effects that we're going to go through today. So I've written some bullet points down. As you increase your temperature, the humidity will drop. And this is important to say, relative humidity. I know we've explained it 1,000 times, but relative humidity is basically the amount of water the air can hold. So if you increase the temperature, the air can hold more water vapor. So as you increase the temperature, the relative humidity comes down until you add more moisture into the air. So the humidity drops, the potential for the air to hold more moisture increases, leading to increased transpiration rates. So as your temperature goes up, the difference between the leaf humidity and the humidity in the outside, there's a big pressure difference. So the leaf will lose a lot of water to the outside temperature, and that's why having high temperatures is a problem. As the temperature increases, the metabolism of the plant increases as well. So you'll end up needing to provide more CO2 and irrigate more frequently. Water temperatures increase, that means less dissolved oxygen. And you'll tend to spend, this is a bit of an obscure one, but as the temperature goes up, you will spend less time in that room, because if it's uncomfortable and it's hot, and if it is even humid, you'll be less time in your room and you're less likely to spot problems in your room. Have you ever been in a room and it's been hot and muggy and you just think, oh, I need to get out of here, like the office?
Yeah.
So in the summer, our office at NPK is horrible. Humidity's through the roof, temperature's high, and we have to sit outside. So any problems that might be going on in that office don't get spotted because we're all outside. It's the same in the grow room. If you don't want to spend as much time in there because it is too hot and humid, then you're less likely to spot any problems with your plants. So there's a bit of a random reason for why high temperatures are bad. So just things to realise, that as the temperature increases, there's a lot of other stuff that happens to the plant that you need to be aware of. Alternatively, if the temperature decreases, your relative humidity is actually going to increase, because the potential for the air to hold moisture decreases, which means that you get reduced transpiration rate. And when I say transpiration rate, in a word, it just means sweaty plants. The plants will sweat less, they'll lose less water. As your temperature decreases, the plant's metabolism also slows down. So if you're adding any additional CO2, it's just not utilised by the plant. Water temperatures decrease, which means that your dissolved oxygen goes up, but also the rate of nutrient uptake decreases. But on the flip side, in nice cooler rooms, you'll spend more time in your garden and you're more likely to spot problems. So there's some things with increasing and decreasing your temperature. It has an effect on your plant's metabolism, which in turn affects how quickly they grow. It affects how much moisture that they lose to the air, and it also affects how much time you're going to spend in the room as well. So temperature increasing, decreasing, make sure that you're keeping an eye on all the different aspects of steering wheels with temperature. What do you reckon to humidity, Basil?
You need it.
You do? Oh, there's a revelation. Barry wants to kick his plants over.
Where'd you buy?
B&Q.
Yeah.
You go in, you buy
Great
4 fluid ounces of humidity, and you just open the bag and there it's in your room, fluid ounces of humidity.
I'll be joking, though.
Yeah.
Because I had it gone. Humidity, we need it when we're in veg.
Yes.
That's the main thing, and we don't want it when we're in flower.
Yes. And this sort of translates to VPD. So
No.
VPD, it's important. I know it's a sci subject, but it's important. What Barry's pointing at, some creature on the wall.
It's not. That's a mark.
Is it a mark or a creature?
It's a mark.
The lighting's not too good in here. We need to. We'll investigate later. If it's an insect,
Someone's getting fucking hung for that. Fucking take the piss.
Humidity. So as you have high humidity, this lowers the transpiration because the pressure within the plant decreases. Leaves pull less water through the roots and the xylem, which is the fancy biology word for inside the plant. This has an impact on nutrition because the plants get less nutrients into its vascular system for distribution. So what basically, when you've got high humidity, the plants drink less and the plants get less nutrients and they're more dependent on you foliar feeding, or if you need to add nutrition, you're going to be doing it through a foliar feed. High humidity, Barry said high humidity in veg because less established root system. So when you've got less established root system, the plant's able to take up less water. So if it lost a lot of water because the humidity was low, the plants can't keep up and you'd end up getting wilted and dry plants. If you have a low humidity, this increases the transpiration. Pressure within the plant increases and the leaves pull more water up through the roots and xylem and lose it through the leaves. So it's all connected from the stomata at the bottom, on the underneath of the leaf, through the xylem, which is the middle of the plant, where the water and nutrients go, and
Tell them,
to the
not
tip
me.
of the leaves. I know, but I'm looking at you.
You're looking at me when you say it as if I don't know.
I know, but where do you want me to look?
I
Where
don't
do you
know.
want me to look? You always do this every time. Every time you finish a podcast, Barry's like, you're looking at me like you're telling me, and I know all this shit. I'm like, I know, Barry, but do you want me to look at me feet? Tell me right foot. Oh, look, with me ankle socks on. Listen, right foot, humidity goes down when temperatures go up, and this is a bad thing for plants and veg.
Just do it that often.
I know. I like looking at you. You got deep blue eyes. I get lost in them. no, he's
Just
just
definitely
punched
facing the
under.
other way now, you.
But it's all connected to VPD,
Vapor
pressure
deficit.
Fancy words.
Fancy words.
Now, vapor pressure deficit is essentially the pressure deficit between the leaf and the room or the area surrounding the leaf. The humidity at the leaf is always 100% at the stomata. So it's the pressure between the leaf and the environment around the leaf. So if you've got a high pressure deficit, what it means is that 100% humidity at the leaf, very low humidity around the leaf, so that the leaf is going to lose a lot of water to the outside environment. If you've got a low pressure deficit, it means that the humidity around the leaf and in the room are pretty similar. So
the higher the VPD,
the more it transpires.
Yeah.
The more it transpires. But it's dependent on temperature and humidity. And what you all need to do is Google images, VPD chart, and look at the difference between, so go to 26 degrees Celsius and go across to the humidity, might be at 60%, and look down at the VPD. And most of them have a lovely green band through the middle, then an orange band, and then a red band. You always want to be in the green band of VPD, because you can have temperatures of 32 degrees Celsius, but you just need to make sure that the humidity in the room is enough so that even though it's a high temperature, the plant's not losing water to the environment. Yeah. If you've got very cold temperatures, 18, 17 degrees Celsius, that's okay too, but you need to make sure that your humidity is low so that the plant can still transpire properly. So you can jockey your system, and this is what plant steering is about. It's not too much of a problem to have high or low temperatures, high or low humidity, if you can get the two balanced so that the VPD is always right. And if you're already onto your VPD, we're looking at 0.8 in early veg kilopascals, 1 kilopascals in early veg, up to 1.4. Some people are taking up to 1.8 if they're really pushing the plants. But you've got to be careful at the higher pressures, because the plant will lose water and you can create stress. So VPD steering, as VPD increases, as the deficit or the pressure increases, the stomata gets smaller. So this is another thing. You might have to increase CO2, because as VPD increases, stomata gets smaller, CO2 uptake gets reduced. So you have to provide a lot of CO2, so when it does take it up, it's there and it's available.
It's like instant.
Yeah. Transpiration. As VPD increases, the plant transpires, which is evaporating from the leaf, faster due to the larger difference in vapor pressures between the leaf and the air. Nutrient intake at the roots. As VPD increases, transpiration increases, the roots pull in more nutrients, so the plant is one connected system of plumbing. You understand the plumbing. Barry's done all the plumbing. Barry's going to do some plumbing actually next week, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to make you sign a contract actually, because that plumbing really needs to be done. Otherwise there'll be water all over the floor.
Will do.
Well, thank you. Plant stress. As VPD increases, there are more forces acting on the plant, from the roots to the shoots, and the plant experiences more stress. So this is why people need to start getting into VPD.
From the roots to the shoots.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
One love. From the root to the shoot. One love.
I fucking hate that song.
So that's the most important thing. I know all the listeners, it's a bit hard because people who aren't asked about the plants won't be listening to a podcast. So it's likely that you already know about temperatures, you already know about humidity, and we really need to push you to start looking at VPD because it's important. And Barry can move his eyes independent of each other like a chameleon, and it's freaky as fuck. How did you learn to do that? That is actually disgusting. What a thing to do on a podcast. His left eye is static and his right eye is just moving around. Schoolboy.
Detention tonight.
What time till say?
I want 100 lines.
What time?
I am a fucking helmet and I leave my phone on podcast. Who is it?
It's Mrs. Glickman. That's who it was. Mrs. Glickman.
Who's Mrs. fucking Glickman?
Glickman.
Yeah,
she's a good friend. She's a good friend, but it's a secret. I can't be saying stuff like that. Top secret.
Oh my God.
Do you know what? I think I think my phone was actually connected to the Bluetooth. So if I had have answered, Mrs. Glickman would have been on the podcast. Hi, Stephen. That's how she sounds. So is your phone on silent as Barry checks his phone? Is it?
Oh, my phone's on silent. I'm at school, boy. Mate, I'm on.
You know what? Barry's phone's always on silent. That's why you can't get rid of him. Can't even get hold of him either. General air movement, CO2, Barry. This is another part of the steering wheel. Increased CO2 allows the plant to cope in higher temperatures. We go on about it in the summer. If you've got high temperatures, add CO2, you'll be better equipped. It's because the stomata close when temperatures are high, or specifically when VPD is high, when the pressure is high. It needs CO2 to be in higher concentrations. Stomata close.
They're instant available.
Yes.
That's what
instant CO2.
Instant CO2. You need to make sure there's tons of it in there for it.
And if you have low temperatures and introduce CO2, you need to increase the temperatures to make use of it. So if you're buying exhale bags or TMB or the buckets, or even if you've got the gaseous canister CO2, if you're introducing that, then you need to turn the steering wheel on the temperatures and increase the temperatures. Otherwise, it's just wasted CO2. So there's the CO2 steering wheel. Water coolers is another one. You can decrease the water temperatures. Some of them, you can actually increase the water temperatures as well. But most of them decrease water temperatures. But there's got to be some give in there. You can't decrease water temperatures and no heat's given out. A lot of heat's given out by the water coolers. If you keep it in your grow room, your water might be cool, but your grow room's going to get hotter. So you've got to keep that in mind. Try and keep your water coolers outside the room. As water temperatures decrease, dissolved in oxygen increases, but nutrient uptake slows, and vice versa. So if you get warm water, then the steering wheel with nutrient uptake increases, but your dissolved oxygen steering wheel goes down. So it's all about this is what we're trying to get across, is that you're making one change and it's affecting two things. So as you make change the steering wheel on your water temperature, your dissolved oxygen's
you're not
going
sure
down.
that elements out, aren't you?
Yeah. And sometimes it's for the good. Sometimes it's all for the good. Sometimes it's all for the bad, and sometimes it's good and bad. So you've just got to be aware of what actions you make, the impact that they have on your plants. Air in, and this is an interesting one, especially in the summer, because increasing your air in brings the outdoor environment indoors. So if your humidity is high outside, then your humidity inside will increase. There's nothing you can do about it. And all over summer, people have been buying 25-litre capacity dehumidifiers, putting them in the room, and just they're filled up in a day. And I've got to get rid of them. And they're saying that the hygrometers are saying that there's no difference in humidity. It's because you're trying to battle nature. You're trying to remove humidity from the earth
and
from the environment. Yeah, and you're just constantly bringing in. So as you get rid of those 25 litres, you're just renewing. I tell everyone to turn the intakes off in the summer. All you're doing is bringing in hot, humid air. And unless you're in very early veg, it's not going to do you any good at all.
No.
The other thing it does is you're dragging pests in. When you increase your air in, you're more likely to drag pests in, especially during the summer months. So people will buy pesticides, neem oils, essential oils, predators, and they just say, I just can't get rid of them. And they say the spray.
I thought you were going to say my mother-in-law's knocking all the time. I was going to say, yeah, man, it's the fucking same, mate. And that's what that is. If it's turning that fan off, she'll fuck off.
Yeah, she'll stop knocking. That fucking pest. But people will always blame the product that you sell them for not getting rid of the spider mites.
Doesn't
work. I need more bottles, or your product shit.
You can spray them all you want, but you're still dragging them in.
Yeah, actually, mate, you could spray them every day with double the concentration till the end. All you're doing is you keep on bringing them in with the intake. So you've got to make sure that one of the best steering wheels to change is put your mother-in-law's tights on the intake filter. She won't come round because she is pissed off with you because you stole the tights. So you're basically two steering wheels in one there. No mother-in-law.
I don't even
pests.
think that works, though. It stops big stuff, but little stuff. You like see a flip in your spider, mate. They're coming right through them tights, lad. It's stopping fucking flies and fucking
if you get
debris.
What if you put a couple of layers on? Them high, deady air tights.
Then what are you doing?
Restricting airflow.
Exactly.
So
and you're going to end up burning the motor out in the fan.
Well, you can actually buy...
I don't think it matters what fan you get. I think if you start putting hundreds of pairs of tights on the end of it, you're just restricting it. The motor's trying to pull as hard as it can, and you end up...
Joe, BudBox actually did this this H intake. It was a H-shaped intake, and it was like a sock. And it was I can't remember the micron, but it was amazing. You put it onto your intake, it would stretch out around your room in like a H shape or an N shape, and then the air would be distributed all the way around it, but nothing but air could get through. And by the end, it'd be horrible and brown and shitty. But it just shows you how much shit you're bringing into your room. But he said there wasn't much demand for them, so they stopped making them. But I might say, any chance of ramping up production of these again, because I think people just need to start using them. Tights, like you say, put pressure on them. Now, these will also put pressure on the fan, but it's distributed evenly around the room. So you just buy a higher pressure fan and you'll be laughing. But talking about air in, air out is just as important as a steering wheel. Air out pulls air from the room. It affects the temperature, the humidity, the CO2. If you increase your air out, temperatures will probably drop depending on what the outside temperature is like. Humidity will tend to drop. CO2 will definitely drop if you're using bags or canisters, unless you have one of them on a doser. So just because your temperature's high, you think, let's increase the extraction, but you're going to reduce the CO2 if you're using products. You're going to affect the humidity. So if you're putting a humidifier in there, your temperature's too high, you think, increase the outtake, okay, temperatures go down, but also the humidity is just being sucked out the room as well. So you've either got to increase the amount of humidity that you put into the room, and it's just all these jockeying in the steering wheels. A lot of things to think about, especially because you're
putting me off it now.
Rich, putting me off what? Increasing your extraction.
Just everything.
No, but it shouldn't be putting you off. It should just be making you aware. If you're not getting the best results, there's a lot more that you can be doing. Don't just give up hope. Know that there's a lot more that you can do. Nutrition.
I like nutrition.
Yeah, no, you do. You're big on your nutrition at the moment, aren't you? Arnold Basil. High EC, low EC. What are you saying?
I'm saying you can have a high EC in a colder condition, and you can have I'd have more of a low EC in a hot condition.
Mm-hmm.
So if my plant was if my room, if I was in the peak of summer and all that I can drag in is hot air and all I can extract is hot air and it's just everything staying hot, and I give the plant more water because it's gonna want. It's like you. Imagine me putting you on a beach in Hawaii, yeah, and it's scorching hot, and I give you a Sunday dinner on the beach. Bring the Sunday dinner over to your Slimline. Yeah. What are you going to do with it?
Throw the potatoes at your head.
Yeah. But if you were in the Arctic and I brought the Sunday dinner, pipe and hot Yorkshire puds, it's the full shebang, lad.
Yeah.
Mint sauce, a lot, lad.
Yeah.
Are you going to eat it?
I can't say publicly what I'd do.
I'd
be very grateful.
You're going to eat it.
Yeah.
On the beach, going back to the Hawaiian beach.
Yeah.
If I brought you a salad over,
you'd
scran it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
The plants are the
and
same.
say, what are you insinuating? Give me a salad.
Plants are the same, mate. If they get too hot, they just want water. If they get too cold, they'll take more feed. No, in the winter, people put weight on, don't they? It's a known fact.
Yeah, we hibernate.
We don't hibernate, but what we do is we eat more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We do.
More hearty foods.
More hearty
food.
Good bowl of scouse. But you don't see scouse in the summer. Scouse comes out in the winter. And it's all them hot foods and stuff like that. We eat more in the winter. When we're cooler, we eat more. When we're hotter, we eat less.
Does it indeed? So,
was that all right for you? Did you understand? I was
telling
lovely. You, not them.
That was lovely. And I was wondering why you were looking at me, because I know all this, Barry. Why were you telling me?
You tell me.
Why are you telling me? Yeah. You just look at your knees and tell the people listening. Increasing your nutrients. One of the steering wheels it affects is your pH. So if you increase, especially certain additives like CANNA's Rhizotonic will affect your pH. I think it'll put your pH up a little bit. Yeah. The more you add, the more it affects it. If you add certain other additives or certain base nutrients, if you add more of it, your pH might drop a bit more. If you add less, it might not affect your pH at all when you're expecting it to.
So you might need to put pH up in.
Yeah.
Or pH down.
You might. You need those in the grower's cabinet.
Yes, lad.
You do. You need your pH up and down in the grower's cabinet. Yeah. If you don't know, then you need to know. And it was last week's podcast, 214, the grower's cabinet, everything you need to survive when the grow shop is shut. So adding and decreasing certain nutrients also affect the uptake of other elements. So as an example, calcium stops a lot of other elements from being uptaken, and it's called antagonistic. And nutrients that increase the uptake of other nutrients is called synergistic or synergism. And magnesium will actually increase the uptake of phosphorus, but calcium can decrease the amount of phosphorus. And that's why a lot of people will add CalMag when they're adding PK, because the magnesium will help the P and the K get uptaken. If you're putting in a lot of phosphorus and potassium, the phosphorus is antagonistic to calcium, so you might get calcium deficiency. So you add a bit of calcium, magnesium, and that's why people add it in flour, because it'll help balance out that highway. And the way I explain it is 3 motorways on highway. If it's filled with lorries, if it's filled with calcium and nitrogen, then there's no room for the small vehicles, your manganese, your irons. There's no room for them to get through. So you need to have balanced nutrients. And when you're adding your nutrients, you need to be careful at the steering wheel. What is this going to do to my plant uptake? People who heavily dose PK in flour, could potentially lead to calcium deficiencies. If you add magnesium, it'll increase phosphorus uptake. So there's a lot of things to consider. What you need to do is go onto Google and type in Mulder's uptake chart. And this is a circle with lots of arrows and lines pointing all over the place. And it'll show you which nutrients help uptake, which nutrients decrease intake. So if you're on veg and you add a bit of Mighty Growth Enhancer, which is nitrogen and calcium, then loads of green healthy leaves, but it might actually hinder iron uptake. So you might end up with a bit of light green at the top of your plant and think, why is this happening? You might look at pH, but it's all interconnected. All your nutrients will affect all other nutrients. And that's the steering wheel of nutrition. And then you've got light intensity, something that a lot of people probably don't think about is a steering wheel. So if you increase the light intensity, and this means if you move your lights closer to the plant, or you take your plants from 400 watts to 600 watts, or if you're using Gavitas, you might take them from the 750 to 1,000, then you get increased leaf temperatures, increased VPD, vapor pressure deficit, and your plant's metabolism is going to speed up a lot. If you decrease the light intensity, so if you dim your ballast down, or you move your lights further away, you get decreased leaf temperature, you get decreased VPD, and then you've got to go to those steering wheels to see the effects of decreased leaf temp and decreased VPD to see what's going on inside the plant. Speeding up metabolism, plant growth. When you increase light intensity, you get sped up metabolism, you get increased plant growth if you can jockey the steering wheel so you get the most out of your plant. You can have increased water and nutrients uptake, and your CO2 uptake, or intake I should say, also increases. So it's not just whereas your plants grow and you move your lights up. There's a lot of variables, and this is maybe a bit of a scary podcast where people think, fucking hell, I just didn't realise there was so much to it.
Petrified the life out of me.
But we did one years ago with Peter Clausen from CANNA, and he touched on plant steering and said that, and sort of triggered this all off. This is where there was a garden culture edition, I think it was the last edition.
It was in that, wasn't it?
We talked about plant steering, and Eric said that the first time he heard it was at a convention. Some American mentioned it in 2015, but actually Peter Clausen was on our podcast talking about it and the effects and the things that happen to the plant because you make one change and you think that decreasing temperatures is going to be a good thing. But if you haven't adjusted certain other parameters or adjusted other variables, then decreasing
it could make it worse.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you could turn your light from 400 to 600 thinking, yeah, we'll get better light.
Yeah.
But it could actually hinder you and slow everything right down.
It could. So just be aware of the variables, be aware of the steering wheels and what impact you have as you make these small changes. It could be making a massive change to one thing, or it could be making several small changes in somewhere else.
And several small changes adds up that if that little change is worth 5% to your overall, and you've got 7 of them.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean?
There's what you've just said there as well is similar to, it's called Liebig's Law of the Minimum. And it's basically, you've heard me talk about, haven't you, the wooden cask and every element, the 17 essential elements, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, so on, they're all a panel of wood on this casket. So Liebig's Law of the Minimum says that if, let's say, nitrogen is you're not putting enough nitrogen in, then the plant can only ever get to 90%. And so you can't fill a water barrel up full because the plank of wood that is nitrogen is maybe chopped off at the top. The water pours out at 90%.
Yeah.
If your phosphorus is only 85%, then the plant can't ever get to even 90% because the water starts flowing out at 85%. So that's another thing to look at, Liebig's law of the minimum, and you get to see how even just one discrepancy or one fault on any of the 17 essential nutrients can have massive impacts on your plant uptake.
I like that.
Yeah. It's Liebig is a don.
Is he?
Yeah. Your
I've
plant
never
don.
heard of him.
Yeah, it's a good one. Liebig's law of the minimum. And if you want to look, or if you're a bit more of a reader, then the last edition of Garden Culture magazine, Plant Steering, they had a really good article on the amount of water that you give to the plant. So actually give them more water in veg, less water in flower, producing either more vegetative growth or more generative growth. And how you can affect that just by giving different amounts of water.
I did enjoy that article, though.
Yeah. It was new.
It was saying give more water in veg to promote growth, but then when you put your plant into the flower for the first 2 weeks is only feed it just enough to keep it alive, sort of thing, and then it'll reduce stretching and everything, and then after that period's finished, then you can start upping it again. I did enjoy that, though.
You wouldn't think, though, that the amount of water or how often you irrigate would have such a dramatic effect on your plant, would you?
No, I would, but I've just never thought of it like, well, if I put my plant into flower and I know that my plant stretches 1.5 foot, but I've vegged it a bit longer than what I should have, and now I'm worried about the height, that 1.5 foot on top, then it's just never dawned on me to think, you know what, starve it and just give it a little bit, get it past these 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and then start filling it full of fluids.
Be interesting to see how far you take it. You just keep her on the brink. You just keep her alive. Keep her not wilted, but just on the brink of wilting.
Or if she's in veg and she's drinking, I don't know, 3 litres every 2 days, let's go for that. Then maybe when you're going into flower, you can then go, just give it 1.5 litres.
Or feed less, but more often, so that you're still just keeping them roots alive, but you're actually feeding less water. Yeah, it's interesting, and it's how you become a better grower. Some in America, it's all about being a master grower, which is a term I hate because you don't think you can master anything really. But I read a quote actually, and we'll finish on this for a quote because it's Bank Holiday weekend. You don't want to be sat in. Yeah, you don't want to be sat in listening to this podcast. You want to be out in the good weather. But this is a great quote. I can't remember who said it, but it's basically, if you ever think of yourself as a master of anything, it's a very sad place to be in, because one of the greatest joys in life is learning. And when you consider yourself a master, what you're saying to yourself is there's nothing left to learn, and you can't get any better. Whereas everyone who thinks there's always something to learn has got the joy of learning, which is, I don't know if it's just me, I love learning something new, and I think everyone does. And yet you know that there's more out there, and you know that there's room to improve always. If you're a master
and the fire's still burning,
then there's always something you can do. I hate that term master grower, because you can be an experienced grower, you can be a very experienced 30-year grower, but if you're a master of something, it generally means that there's nothing left to learn. Master wood craftsman who's just amazing at building anything, that could be a good mastery, because he takes his time.
But he hasn't built everything.
He hasn't built everything,
so he's not a master.
But it's about having the knowledge, isn't it?
To build it.
Yeah, and he could maybe, but even I reckon woodsmiths might say, you know what, I don't know this edging technique, I need to learn that. I believe the people who are closest to being masters of the subject don't consider themselves masters.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree.
Barry, go and enjoy the rest of your Bank Holiday weekend, mate.
Oh, wish I could.
You've got the full weekend to go and enjoy yourself. I'm going to go to IKEA.
No. What are you getting? Meatballs.
Oh, yeah. No. Barry takes the piss out of me because I go for my dinner in IKEA.
That is fucking, just honestly message in now. He actually goes. If I go to IKEA, I might get me and our kids a little hot dog and that as well, bouncing around there, annoy the missus and all that, you know what I mean?
A hot dog, no wonder.
Do you know what I mean? But Steve actually drives from his house with his missus and the kids and goes to IKEA so they can sit down, have something to eat and then go home. What the fuck is that all about?
Because the meatballs is what that's all about, mate.
Nah.
And the lingonberry sauce.
Fuck you, mate. That
Oh,
is not
meatballs and
I
mashed
just go
potatoes
to a
and
proper
lingonberry.
gaff and have something proper to eat.
Yeah, it's because you're fucking Barry Big Bollocks, isn't it? I'll go to the steakhouse and I'll order myself a glass of red wine with a grade 7 fucking Wagyu beef steak. Thank you very much. Let that settle there, please, mate, because it needs to breathe. Fuck off, mate. I want my meatballs from IKEA. There we go.
Fuck that, like.
I'm off to IKEA. Barry's off to fucking Wagyu. And we'll see you all next week
Yeah,
on
man.
another podcast. Bye-bye.
Ta-da.